Disclaimer, I am not sponsored by nor am I affiliated with any of the companies mentioned in this video. All opinions represented are mine and mine alone. They do not represent anyone besides myself. Your opinions may differ. That's okay. Try this stuff out yourself in order to find out if it works for you.
Hi everyone, it's me, Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today, we are doing the SketchBox Premium box unboxing, say box a bunch of times, for April 2019. It finally came. It's a couple weeks late. It said it was delivered 2 weeks ago, but it had not. It somehow got scanned in as delivered without it being in my mailbox. But we have it now. Yay! And I'm excited to see what we got inside. As always, they have some art from a wonderful artist on the outside of the box. This time it is a lovely depiction of a tiger. Yay! And this is by Julie Strong. Her Instagram is at Julie_Strong55. And as always, it says, if you'd like your work printed on our next box, use the supplies in this box to create a piece of art and tag us with #Sketchbox. Cool.
This is a portrait of Anthony Bourdain, and this is by the Sketchbox April Featured Artist of the Month that they have on the little brochure that comes inside. And the artist's name is Tracy Burke. We discovered Tracy's art at our local watering hole and knew she'd be perfect for a box that focused on acrylics. Tracy Burke was born in Duluth, Minnesota in 1971 and currently resides and works in Marietta, Georgia. She received a BFA in Fine Art from the University of Central Florida in 1995. Tracy explores color and pattern in her large abstract works and demonstrates presence and confrontation in her stylized figurative work. Her art is collected throughout the United States and Canada. Check out more of her art on her website, www.artsmart-online.com. And as always, if you want your art featured, you can send an email of an example of what you do to them at info@getsketchbox.com.
And these are actually something I'm fairly familiar with. The first item in our box is 4 Liquitex Basics 22 milliliter tubes. They're regular $2.99 each. These I've used before. I do prefer the heavy body personally, but that's because I like the thickness of the heavy body and I like how you can make them much, much thinner by adding way more water. These are a little smoother when it comes to application than the heavy body are. But I have used them before, and I'm kind of excited about it. It looks like I might actually have to mix my own colors today. This month is all about acrylic paint. A lot of people have been asking us on social media and our surveys to include more painting supplies, so here we go. We wanted to include a red, a yellow, and blue, so you have endless mixing options to create your own choices. We also included a white to easily lighten up your colors. Liquitex Basics are incredibly easy to mix and still manage to hold brushstrokes. And there's another tube of paint here. I can't really seem to get a very good shot of it, but this is the Sennelier Heavy Body 60 milliliter in Flesh Ochre, and the retail price on this is normally $9.60. Sennelier has selected pigments from the highest quality from leading chemical laboratories in order to maximize purity and clarity of tone. We included a heavy body acrylic this month to show brushstrokes and allow you to show palette knife marks. Okay, so they want you to be able to do brushstrokes and to do a palette knife. I've actually never used a palette knife for actual painting. I've used it for mixing of colors, and even then I don't use it a lot, so that'll be kind of a cool challenge. I look forward to trying to do that. And speaking of palette knives, here is the palette knife. This is an RGM Pastrello palette knife, number 38. The retail price is $8. The narrow blade style allows for superb flexibility and very fine details. The blade is made of high-quality steel that has been specially treated to protect the blade as well as improve the spreadability of color. It's a much smaller palette knife than I'm used to, because like I said, I'm used to using it for mixing and not necessarily for actually applying it to canvas, but this is exciting. It feels nice. To see how we go. This is going to be a lot of experimentation on my part this time.
And
we got a brush this time. It is a Princeton brush, which Princeton is usually pretty good quality. This is the Princeton Glacier Angular Wash 3/8 brush, and normally retails for $10.95. The synthetic hair can be used to create a beautiful point and precise edge. It's also surprisingly good with watercolor as well, which makes it great to work with the watercolor pencils from last month. I did really like last month's box. Those watercolor pencils I used a lot, and there are videos of that up on this channel, and I used them even more than what was shown in those videos. I liked them a lot. It's really nice. I also like how this has an edge back here at the tip, so you can pull up color more easily too. That'll be nice for like pulling back and doing a little bit of texture on that painting as well. I feel like this month the theme I'm going with is going to be texture. Lots of texture. No idea what I'm going to paint yet, but I do know I want to get as many different kind of textures as possible on here. We also got a graphite pencil. This is the Caran d'Ache Graphwood pencil in 4H, and the retail price is normally $3.65. This pencil is great for sketching on canvas before beginning your painting. Sorry, I can't seem to get like a very good shot of it, especially the writing, because it's in that reflective silver, which is just, it's not the easiest to film. So it's a pencil, really, really hard lead, therefore it'll be really light. All I need to know, I do know that between SketchBox and Art Snacks, I'm getting a bunch of Caran d'Ache graphite pencils. I'm okay with it. And as always, I will say this about SketchBox, they always give you something to do a project on. This time we got a SketchBox Signature 7x4 canvas panel, retail price of $2.99. We created this custom landscape formatted canvas panel to provide a surface for painting this month. And once again, I do like how they give you something to actually make a project on. The past couple times I've gotten pads of paper in order to make multiple projects on, and this time it's a single canvas board, which I understand because canvas board can be more expensive and all that good stuff, so it's nice. And it feels pretty sturdy, and on the back it has that SketchBox signature. So, feels like a canvas board. And we got another sticker, and this sticker is just a little image of a Sketchbox. It's actually quite cute. I like how they do different kinds of stickers when they do actually give them to you. And this is a shot of everything that came in this month's box. And just looking at it, it feels like I got a lot of stuff, which makes me happy. Before I get into the project, I'm kind of going to just go over pricing again and what like the retail prices normally would be for these items added up all together. So we got 4 of these Liquitex Basics 22 milliliter tubes, and they're $3 each. So 3 times 4, that's $12 just right here. The Sennelier paint, that is $9.60. This palette knife is normally $8. The brush is normally $10.95. The pencil is normally $3.65, and the canvas is normally $3. Obviously, they don't tell us the price on the sticker, but it's a cute sticker. We're going to leave it in the shop for right now. Added all together, that equals slightly over $47. The box before shipping is normally about $35, so you are saving about $12 for all of this stuff. Pretty good deal, I would say. I feel, just looking at this feels worth $30 to me. And that could just be because I'm used to, especially with paint, it being really, really expensive to start. And anytime you can have kind of a kit where it's stuffed together, it's almost always cheaper than having to go buy everything individually. So this might be a good box to get started to learn how to do acrylic painting, especially with the colors that come with it, because it's very basic colors. The only thing that might be good to have in it would be a black, just so you can get darker shades of these colors, although you can probably use the blue and use some other tricks to do that. Overall, I'm actually really happy so far with what came here. I just have to think about what project I want to do. And that's always the difficult part because there's so many possibilities. And it's kind of hard because you have to narrow it down and make a decision about what you're going to do on this specific project and surface. So I will be back when I figure that part out. I'm pulling this in because this is a painting I did a couple of years ago, and it was part of a series that I did. And I think I want to go for something that is kind of in a similar vein to this, just with some different colors going on. So let's do this. So obviously I start the sketch with that graphite pencil, and I remembered why I don't like using graphite pencils. Under paint, I tend to prefer a chalk pastel pencil. Because with this, when you erase, it doesn't pull it out of those grooves on that canvas very well. And with a pastel pencil, it is much easier to erase, and it's much easier to fix your sketch. And I guess we should revisit the UI for this painting. I just kind of wanted to play with an idea I've had before, and that's kind of something that I feel like every artist does. You just occasionally revisit something that you've done previously. This actually probably came about because my boyfriend and I binge watched the new season of Sabrina on Netflix, and I've always kind of liked this idea of this like supernatural woman with a third eye and then an abstract flame thing behind her. The original painting was part of a series that I did, probably about 4 years ago now, where I was very, very inspired by Asian horror media in general. Something you guys probably don't know about me is I'm obsessed with horror movies. And I was just at a point in my life where I was just drawing and painting stuff that I thought people would buy. I wasn't really drawing or painting for myself anymore. And I just had this idea to do this, partially because there was a pocket-sized painting show that I was entering stuff into. And the gentleman running it required at least 20 paintings to be entered. So I decided that I needed to have a series, and I needed to be able to have them seem cohesive. And for themes, I initially just decided on horror, and then I decided that I needed to narrow it down even more, so I went with Asian horror. Because it's just something that I am very familiar with. I've watched a lot of horror movies, and I've read a lot of Asian horror comics and seen a lot of horror anime and all that stuff. So I just kind of used that as a starting point and grew with it at that point in time. Then something interesting happened. I started selling stuff, and I think part of why those paintings sold versus stuff I did beforehand was that the audience could sense that there was a joy and that there was a passion in creating it. And I did. I had a lot of passion for it. I was doing at least one painting a night for basically the month up to it. I ended up finishing 40 pieces for the show that this guy only wanted 20 for. And I think that sometimes a viewer can feel that passion and that desire and that drive when they look at certain pieces. I think that it's communicated. And I feel like this painting here is kind of going back to that a little bit for me. And sorry, I know this is supposed to be a review of the sketchbox for April and not so much about my artistic journey and whatnot. It's just that this specific thing that I ended up creating brought up a lot of memories for me, and I decided to share them with you. But I guess we should get back into talking about the actual art supplies that is being used right now. Like I said, I've used the Liquitex soft body before. They're really good. Still prefer the heavy. That's just me personally. The other one, the Sennelier, I'd never used that acrylic paint before, and I really like it, and I'm pretty sure the reason I really like it is because it is a heavy body. Something about that texture satisfies me when I paint. It works for what I want to do and how I want to work.
The Sennelier and the Liquitex Basics played together really well, they mixed really well. And I'm glad that we did get that fleshy tone with the Sennelier, the ochre. It gives a nice neutral color to kind of use as a base and play with a little bit more. It just gave me slightly less work to do for the skin. I still had to mix in a bunch of white and some reds and some of the yellow and some of the blue and use green tones and all that good stuff. And like I said, I did not pull any paint into this other than what came in the box. The only thing I did do was I grabbed a non-branded tiny little detail brush since it is a smaller piece and I was trying to get in as much detail as possible. This is a very good set for a beginning acrylic painter, especially with the blue, the yellow, red, and white. You really only need those colors if you're starting to learn. I would also add a black for most people, but I understand a lot of teachers don't like it when people who are learning how to use acrylic paint use black at all, because they tend to rely on it too much and then they don't mix the other colors together in order to get those deeper tones. I really liked the Princeton Glacier Angular Wash Brush that came with this set. I was able to use different points of the brush to get quite a few different thicknesses, and I was able to do a good little chunk of the detail work, at least at the beginning, with that brush too. I just pulled in my little cheap brush to get just a couple more little details in because at this point I had an idea for what I was doing with this project. The palette knife I liked as well. You can't really see in the video right now, but I do, especially for the background, use that palette knife quite a bit. And I use a lot of the pigment straight out of the tube without mixing it as much for those paints. I use just straight blue, red, and yellow, and it gives a very nice abstracted kind of fire effect behind the girl I'm depicting here. I guess in my brain this girl is some kind of witch, some kind of witchy woman who maybe can control fire, or maybe she was set on fire, maybe she just has a fiery aura. I don't know. I do know I like it and that I had a lot of fun making it. Overall, I think this is one of my favorite SketchBox boxes because I got a lot of stuff that I know I'm going to use again. First of all, this is all stuff that I'm already going to use in other projects that may or may not be filmed on YouTube, but this paint will get used. It's not going to be one of those things where I have to kind of come up with reasons to use it and think of specific projects to kind of just not have some art supplies sitting on a shelf somewhere, because I do not want to do that with the supplies that I am getting in my little subscription boxes. I also liked the challenge of having to mix the blue, yellow, and red and white in order to get different colors and having that yellow ochre there for a skin tone base, because it reminded me of how much you have to actually mix, or you should be mixing colors. Because I have a selection of different colors of acrylic paint, and I usually can just pick a certain color and paint out of the tube. So it was nice to have to use these skills to this level again. And it was also kind of nice for me not to be able to cheat and pull out an acrylic marker or a water-based marker to get some of the smaller lines. I had to actually use just paint, water, and a small paintbrush to get that done. And although I didn't use the palette knife as much as I thought I might initially do it, I think it ended up making a really cool background. Because there's an insinuation of a fire or a flame because of the colors and because of the shape, but it's really rough and energetic, and I appreciate that. It was cool to use that, and I might have to try to use a palette knife for some other pieces and kind of see how that goes later. But this review is pretty much done now. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and listening to me ramble, and for watching this video. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, or concerns, please leave those in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought about this box. What'd you make with it? Were there any things that you learned while you were doing it? I really want to keep this conversation going, and I want to know what y'all think and what y'all did. And I've been doing these Sketchbox videos once a month since January. If you want to see more of these, hit that subscribe button because I will definitely be doing another one for May. Once again, thank you very much for watching and spending this time with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Bye!